You're listening to Tax Savvy, the art and science of keeping more money in your pocket. Each episode, we uncover specialty tax strategies, share expert advice, and talk through practical insights businesses use to stay ahead. Whether you're here to learn more about specialty tax or just want to make smarter money moves, you're in the right place. Today, we are talking with Bob Lewis, president at the Visionary Group, a company focused on helping accounting firms create and implement growth strategies. Bob was on the 2023 list of Accounting Today's top 100 most influential people and has led his firm, the Visionary Group, for the past 30 years. The Visionary Group helps accounting firms with expert advice on the constantly changing dynamics of growth, including becoming better at business development and mining existing client relationships, prospecting, boosting capacity through offshoring, leveraging opportunities like private equity, and the hot one right now, growth through mergers and acquisitions, along with exit and succession planning for CPA firms.
Bob, thanks for being here today. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I am the president of the Visionary Group. I started this company 30 years ago. We 100% exclusively work with accounting firms and have always done so. And I've got a staff of 12 people. We are known right now very specifically for what we do in the M&A sector for the accounting firms. We do about 20 plus transactions annually. We help firms assess their ability to remain independent. We help them with decisions like data analysis on the client side, pricing, things like that. But I don't want to get too much into a sales pitch. So let's hit the show. What are you looking for, Ryan?
Okay.
What would you like to hear?
No, that's great. So yeah, my first question. You've worked with accounting firms, smaller, all the way up to top 30 firms across the country. What growth challenges are top of mind with CPA leaders right now?
Okay, so the number one in the traditional marketplace right now has been AI. They're all trying to figure out how do you adapt to artificial intelligence? How do you incorporate it? Artificial intelligence, and by the way, we don't sell artificial intelligence services or products. I just want to make that clear. Okay. AI is still very much in its infancy, specifically for the smaller firms. Now, some of the larger firms, the top 10 firms, have made significant investments in that. They're using it pretty well in the marketplace. But even so, the overall use of it is limited right now. That's one. Second thing, and to me, where it gets to be more important, is survival. Can these people remain independent? Is it even sustainable? Because we hear from a lot of firms that go, we really want to remain independent. Well, do you have an independence plan? No. What's your strategy to remain independent, compete against firms that are larger and have more capital? Yeah. Haven't thought that through. Need to create an independence plan. Third thing is opportunity. In this marketplace right now, there is not a managing partner in this country where he or she is not looking at this and going, is there a financial opportunity here for me to do something different? Is there money that's accessible and available? And then what do I do about the infrastructure? I mean, I've got to put capital aside to invest in this infrastructure. It's not just AI. It's offshoring, it's advisory, it's people, it's all the way through. Do I have the capital to do it? And is it smarter for me to plug into somebody else who's already got this in place? And at the same time, pay me more for the value of my firm than I do on an internal succession. And the numbers are staggeringly high on what they can get in the external market versus an internal transaction. That's, to me, the brunt of what's happening out there right now. And it seems to be in literally in every conference. And the amount of accounting firms that contact us daily with exactly those questions of what do I do? How much is my firm worth is an overwhelming number. Which good thing, I guess, for us. But all of this craziness creates opportunities for everybody who wants to take advantage of it. The problem is that people that view this as a negative are going to always view things as a negative, and they're going to lose ground. Others will gain ground. Yes. Ryan, your thoughts?
No, that makes complete sense. And as a smaller specialty tax firm who is in the growth process and trying to grow and scale, it's really good timing. And I feel like it's a conversation you and I need to continue even after this podcast. So it's good information. Next question would be, you guys have a Build to Evolve program that helps firms decide between independence or a sale and merger. So what does the decision-making process on that look like in real time and in real practice?
Okay, so we created this because of the overwhelming number of people who go, what's my firm worth? Like, you really can't calculate a firm's worth based on just their financial information. There's many more factors to it. But the first thing to look at with this whole build to evolve, or just looking at any of your firms, period. If you're going to do it in succession, let's start there. You're going to do an internal succession. Have you stressed test the succession plan? So a lot of firms have a great plan on paper. They've worked out the capital buy-ins. They've worked out who's going to be the people coming in. But what they haven't done is always talk to the people who are coming in, explain the capital buyout, explain the skill sets that they need to have moving forward. As an example, a lot of the younger succession team doesn't have a lot of selling and networking skills because they didn't have to have that, because quite frankly, 20 years of labor shortages have created the opportunity where, Ryan, if you get work, you find the work and you give it to younger staff to do. And then 15 years later, they don't have any real networking or selling skills. That's a big issue. That's on the succession side. If I look at the other part of this, is the build to evolve, is look at informed decisions. So like, this is going to sound a little salesy, but I don't know how else to explain it. So, okay, when we do this with people, the build to evolve is you build to remain independent. That's option one. You've identified you cannot remain independent, but you build to get yourself ready to go to market, which is option two. Option three is you build to identify the right suitor. Because what happens a lot of time is they're ready to go in market, but they don't know who the potential buyer pool could be. And there's very different levels of buyers out there. Some will pay a premium, some are the wrong fit. And unfortunately, most firms react to somebody who just makes a phone call, like a firm who calls or sends an email and says, we'd like to talk to you about this, or a private equity group who does this. They're only hearing one story. They need to understand all other options. But the informed decision we do is, look, firms go, we want to remain independent. Great. So we conduct an easy, it's a survey, electronic, very simple. Takes the partners 10 minutes, 15 minutes to fill out. Then we do one-on-one interviews with them. What we're looking for is alignment gaps, differences in how they think, problems, and also at the same time looking for opportunities that some of these partners could throw up. The big thing is we do a massive data analysis on our client base. And we do this, what we call red and black and green dot mapping. And it shows where these firms are burning capacity on clients they shouldn't be spending time on. It gets into the realized dollar per hour. We give them information. Most firms have no clue how to make the decision to stay or sell or merge. They just don't even know where to start. There's a lack of information. Firms are great at what they do. They make decent money. Some make tremendous money. But how to actually do this process to stay independent or merge or sell or access a private equity opportunity, the information is very, very scattered. The third thing is a lot of false information out there. Okay, so I love reading the things on LinkedIn that are posted telling me how that consultant can come in and understand the value of your firm just based on prior deals that are done in the market. I'm like, that's not possible, because none of this information is disclosed, and most people don't do these transactions. So the private equity groups will sometimes come in, try to enter the market. Those that are established groups, they're telling good, real stories. Those are sometimes not established groups, increasing the multiple, increasing the adjusted EBITDA, increasing the price where it's not realistic. And then some firm has some idea that, well, my firm's worth, my $10 million firm's worth $45 million.
Yeah.
It's not real information. You got to get down to the real information. The other part is inexperience with radical change. Like, if we look back at just 5 years ago, there was no COVID. In January, I know I did this, so I'm doing a presentation. January 2020, there was no COVID. It didn't exist. Right. It popped out like in late January, early February. Artificial intelligence was like a point in conferences. Now there's major conferences about it. There was no private equity or outside investment. Now, the top 30 firms, when you knock off like the big, like top six of the remaining 24, over 60% of them have accepted outside capital already. Yeah, there's a huge change in this marketplace. So
yes,
those are the big things that we see. I don't know if you're experiencing other things on your side, or we've heard from other people, but
that's where I'm at with it. I agree with everything you said, and it's all the external forces, really. I mean, you kind of go in. Everybody shows up their job every day and does what they do. But it's some of the external forces, like you said, that are out of your control, that you really need to kind of get a hold of and get a handle of, so you can kind of understand where you are in the market and what your next steps are and thinking long term. So it's really good.
Yeah. I feel
Okay, with
fortunate
that,
at this because I learn a lot from partners. So yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
learn a lot from other people. That's the nice part about this. So
yes,
we're kind of smart, but not super smart, but we learn a lot from people. So
yes, yeah. With that, my next question: with M&A and private equity deals on the rise, what are some of the missteps? And you kind of a little bit kind of talked about this, but what are some of the missteps that firms make when entering agreements? Uh, did you lose me? Pause, Amanda.
yeah, no problem. Let me kind of
Yeah.
explain it. The first one is typically the multiple. Okay. It's people get focused on the multiple. So the way the math works in these private equity transactions or in any firm valuation really is you get to an EBITDA and then an adjusted EBITDA number. The adjusted EBITDA is the key, and then there's a multiple applied to it. The multiple will vary based on how badly I want your firm. It could be your location, it could be a niche. It's all kinds of things can impact the multiple. The adjusted EBITDA is more math. And people get focused on the multiple and miss the adjusted EBITDA component, which is really the most critical component in my mind of getting a baseline to establish value. Second thing is compensation reductions. So most of these firms don't understand. Well, they understand, but they don't want to hear it. If you're gonna go to maybe a private equity solution instead of a traditional merger, and I'm gonna give you cash up front and roll equity and stock, I'm taking your partner compensation in half. So if you're making 800,000 a year, you're now making 400,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't like that. Okay, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I may be giving you $5 million in cash or $20 million in cash at closing at half your comp. That part people have to understand. There's no other way for the math typically to work. The other part is most people don't understand the value of the equity roll. So if you sell 70% of your firm to me, keep 30%, that 30% is going to be converted into some form of stock with your equity roll, which could sell at a much higher multiple. So you could have a second event to be quite more beneficial in some cases than the first event, even though you sold the majority of stock on the first event.
Yep.
The other part is not selling the upside. So most firms don't have deep penetration in advisory services. Their realized dollar per hour could go up. The utilization could go up. Their non-billable hours, just converting like 5% of those hours to a billable hour, makes a huge impact on the adjusted EBITDA, which is a huge impact on firm value. Those are the basics that we see. The big thing is people don't understand how the firms are rolling stock now and how the stock side of a firm works as opposed to the old traditional deferred comp side, which, by the way, is almost 100% dead. Yeah, the deferred comp programs just are getting all eradicated as the outside investment comes into play.
Yes. Yeah, and we see a lot of earnouts too, right? I mean, is that usually part of the deal?
So in all of these transactions, there's an earnout target. So Ryan, if I go to buy your firm, I'm going to base the value of the firm based on what we think it's worth today and what it's going to continue to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So an earnout target is normally set at a reasonable number. Sometimes they aren't, but it should be reasonable. So that if you miss your earnout target, there's some clawback on how much we paid you or how much we're going to pay you in the future. It's basically a true up or an adjustment thing. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to look at that, which is fair. I mean, if you said you're going to do, you said you're going to do $5 million in profit, next year based on this revenue, and the revenue drops and the profits drop, the investment that the private equity company or the outside investment group or the traditional firm made needs to have an adjustment into what they purchased. It's a reasonable thing. Also, there's working capital in these transactions. There's sometimes some firms have minimum losing the term, Ryan. Like I'll charge you a 5% management fee, or I have a preferred dividend. Those are things to look for in transactions, which I'm not a fan of the management fees, but I'm sure some people aren't fans of some of the things we think too. So a lot of options in the market, though.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, these are risky investments sometimes. You do your due diligence, but they're risky. So you just they're trying to protect themselves too. I get it, totally get it.
Do you want to know the real key on how this whole thing works?
Sure.
Why it's being done? So I can buy your firm at, say, a multiple of 7. say I buy $1 million of your EBITDA at 7, because that's what you're producing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You independently on your own can't sell that for 14 or 15 or 16. But if I put it into a group, by the way, I'm not a private equity group. We just work with all these groups, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put that into a larger group and all of a sudden you're part of a $200 million firm,
Yep.
that 7 that I bought you at, that $1 million, I can now maybe sell that at 14 or 15, 16.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could make $7-8 million off of just your EBITDA sitting as it is. Now you're going to get a share of that, but for the most part, you can't do that on your own.
Yeah.
Everybody wins in that situation. And that's really the crux of what this is really all about. And if I can get in and improve your EBITDA, even better, because now your EBITDA is higher and your multiple's higher, and everybody makes a lot more money.
It makes
also,
sense.
you need to make investments too, which is critical. But
Yeah. One of the takeaways from the conference where we met in Chicago from a former CEO of a big accounting group is, their accounting group is just made up of a bunch of smaller groups that have been put together to help grow into a larger firm. So that makes sense. That makes total sense what you just said. Let's move on.
20 years. So yeah, it just changed with the private equity thing. So
yeah. So I definitely wanted to cover this question. Looking ahead with all the deal activity currently going on, can that pace sustain, or do you see it slowing down here over the next 5 years or
it
so?
is going to continue to snowball.
Really?
The supply is shrinking, so sometimes values are increasing. But what's happening is the ability for firms to remain independent is becoming more challenging.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've got an average baby boomer is 69 years old now. I've had 20 years of a labor shortage in the industry. So my succession teams aren't always complete. So I may need 6 people to take out the current leaders. And I've got 3 strong ones, but I'm still short 3. Yeah. And the option is only going to be to merge it or sell it or, go into a firm that accepted outside capital. There's just so many different options on how to exit or transition. But that actually probably going to be the best thing for our employees too, because the sustainability to remain independent is, if it's challenged, even though you've got a couple of really strong good leaders, they can't afford to pay out the exiting leaders. And then they're biting off all the infrastructure costs, and it could be, a formula for a disaster. But that's really going to continue. That it's the succession teams that have shrunk is really what's causing a problem. The other issue is internally. If my partnership agreement says you're going to buy me out at 1 times revenue, or however you get to that equation, maybe it's 0.8, mm-hmm. and my firm on the open market is worth 1.4, 1.5 times revenue. That's a difficult decision for the current leaders, because they're getting more capital and more value out of their firms than they did 4, 5, 6 years ago. Remember 5 years ago, there was no private equity. So my only other option was to sell the firm either internally or merge it upward. Right. And typically, values were 0.8 to 1.2, and now their values are much higher externally. Yeah. So that's a big thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Curious on what phase 2 is going to be?
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
It's the mystery. Okay. Who's going to buy up all these rolled up or investment backed firms? Because right now, only Citron Cooper is the only one that's executed twice. They were bought by New Mountain, and then they were sold to Blackstone. Okay. That's the only one so far. Now, rumor mill is pretty strong that there's going to be quite a few of these transactions being sold in the next year, in 2026. But the buyers are going to be larger private equity groups, maybe some, I've got speculation on maybe some outside foreign accounting groups. Like, why wouldn't a London-based firm want to open up a U.S. office by buying a branch made up of $200 million U.S. firms, $300 million U.S. firms?
Yeah.
I do see that as possibly coming. Also, I think phase 2 could be a lot of them are trying to go public. Like Anderson just filed for an IPO back a few months back. They look like they're going to go be the second publicly traded CPA firm. Some firms have gone ESOP. It's just, that's where we're heading with all of this stuff. And I think it'll be very interesting. And it was needed for the profession, because it was getting a little bit stale. And now there's stock option opportunities for younger professionals. They don't have to wait 30 years to get a deferred comp buyout. The market's changed significantly. But
yeah, that's right. And I see opportunities for the younger partners or younger staff to kind of grow with those larger firms, right? Maybe
Oh
you're a
yeah.
smaller fish but you're in a much bigger pond, and there's more upward trajectory for those kind of
Yeah,
employees, right?
we've kind of called that the entrepreneurial role.
Yeah,
So like I don't have to go outside and create my own firm now because I'm not happy with where I'm at or I don't see the opportunity to grow. You've got inside channels inside these firms to open up arms and advisory, open up specialty niches, open up all kinds of areas. And if you want to take an active role and lead it, most of these firms are welcoming you wide open to do that because they're looking for people to think outside the box and take actions other than just kind of grinding out the return or grinding out the audit. They're looking for people who can help them expand their firms. All these firms are going to become more diverse. They're just not going to be compliance focused. They're going to be compliance advisory shops. And, I think eventually my version of which will probably far exceed where I'm going to be at in this profession. I'll probably retire by then. I think you're going to see basically the equivalent of a superstore, where the superstore is going to have the accounting work in it. It's going to have consulting work in it. It's going to have HR services. It's going to have everything you want,
wealth
technology,
advisory.
insurance. Yeah. I'm going to
Yeah,
walk in and go, okay,
yep,
here's my business. You can handle it all. And I think the accounting firms are going to be the lead dogs on all of this and be
yep,
able to pull this whole thing together. But that's a few years away probably from happening. Right now, we got to get through this whole investment and retirement age of the aging baby boomers, I think, to make this all work right.
yeah,
It's a good time to be an accountant. They make a lot of money, and
yeah,
their jobs aren't as boring as they used to be, where it was just work a lot of hours in tax season, and
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
No, and I love the cross-selling opportunities too when you have kind of the one-stop shop. So that's great for the employees too, and it creates more of an opportunity. So love it. All right, yeah. My last question, really. So beyond transactions, how can firms reshape, just the M&A transaction world and succession planning? How can firms kind of internally reshape pricing, capacity, service mix to create more profitability now?
they they have to do really three things here. One is they have to create internal capital. Okay, they have to find a way to go, okay, I've got the wrong clients here. I've got the wrong pricing model. I don't have the right selling skills. So one of the things that unfortunately exists in a lot of firms, and we'll see a lot of write downs. Every
Mm-hmm.
single dollar written down requires $3 more of sales to be made at a 33% margin. So every time I write down something, so if I write off $100,000 in billings, I'm writing down $300,000 really because I need $300,000 to replace that profitability.
Right.
That's the one thing. So how do you create the internal capital? Second thing is client analysis. You need to understand what you have today. Firms are burning capacity on clients that are under 80% realization, under 60% realization. They're not charging the right realized dollar per hour, although the realization percentages may go, I'm at 90 or 100% of what? Realized dollar per hour is the key. I'd rather be 60% of $1,000 an hour than 100% of $100 an hour. And if they can just start moving the needle on that by understanding who these clients are, slowly shifting them up, in some cases, getting rid of the client and freeing up the capacity, they'll massively be more profitable. They can take some of that capital, make the investments they need to make. The last thing is upscaling. Everybody should be upscaling in this market. We have a huge supply and demand imbalance right now. Why should I be working on clients that are draining my capacity when I can go, maybe if my client base is 1 to 5 million, I should be looking at how do I get $5 to $20 million clients. If I was at 10 to 20, I should be looking at how do I get $50 million clients, because they're all falling down the waterfall from larger firms who are like focusing differently, going, I don't want these clients anymore. And that's a timing matter, because that's going to change. What's happening is with the technology investments now, we're seeing some of the larger firms drill into smaller clients that they never went into before because the cost of labor was too high. But now they're using offshoring and technology with minimal labor cost on the high levels outside to compete effectively on price.
Yeah.
And I think firms really need to understand who their clients are serving right now, who they are, how much they're charging them. Are these good clients? Are they building firm value? To me, that's the foundation of where all these firms kind of have opportunity, because clients dictate every action inside the firm, every decision in the firm. If you think culture, profitability, sustainability, they need to get a handle on that. That's going back to that build to evolve. That's a big part of what we look at inside these firms, to show them that and to kind of get them to start to right size that piece of their firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said before, Ryan. We learn a lot from a lot of really smart people, and we
Yeah.
bundle it together. We love what we do over here. We've been doing it for a very long time, and
Awesome.
you know,
Yeah.
smart ideas roll in from a lot of smart people, and it's easy to put them together and maybe make them a little bit better, which is what we try and do most of the time. We
Yeah.
get it right most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time.
Well, I can tell by talking to you that a lot of really smart people learn a lot from you too. So, and you've got the experience and you're well connected. So you've done a really good job throughout your career, I can tell. So congratulations and kudos to you on that for sure.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Co-chairing the Accounting Today Private Equity Summit coming up in Chicago in November. This will be the second year they've had that summit. That'll be an interesting summit because a lot has changed from the first year in terms of like outside capital investments in firms. So it's an interesting dynamic out there.
I'm gonna look that up as soon as we get off here. Yeah. I'm totally gonna look that up as soon as we get off here, and I'm following along with everything you put out there because you put out some really good content. So for our listeners, you can check out Bob and the Visionary Group if you go to thinkvisionary.com. We are going to put a link to your website under our podcast, and so all our subscribers in our network can go out there and check out your content. And I just want to thank you again for your time today. You put out a lot of good information, and I know our listeners and our network are really going to appreciate it. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it, and then you guys have yourself a good holiday and end of the year coming up. All right,
we're getting there. All right. Thank you so much, Bob.
All right.